Welcome again and very good morning on a Saturday morning. Those of you who are joining us for the final day of Product Leadership Festival 2022 for the Product Storytelling edition. To me, this is the most exciting part of the event where speakers from the community get nominated, get voted, shortlisted, and then present the topics on the theme. This festival has been going on for 3 years now, and with multiple editions and multiple themes. This particular theme is focused on telling story about your products, telling compelling stories and narratives about your products, both to the external audience as well as internal audiences. So we have very interesting topics and exciting speakers today. I'll set some context before we jump into and introduce the speaker today, and we can get started. For those of you who have not, joined in the past sessions or missed some of those, feel free to go ahead to this URL later and watch the previous recordings of the sessions that have happened in product edition, strategy, data, leadership, art of storytelling, and of course, including this, which is the product storytelling edition. This particular edition is brought to you by Institute of Product Leadership, which is a knowledge partner for various universities across the world, and also a corporate knowledge partner. And this event is also in partnership with the two amazing product companies. One is Zabilio. It is a professional upskilling assessment platform. And also Hyperstack, which is world's first Web 3.0 based credentialing cloud. Now, as we go through the session, if you have questions, feel free to ask those questions in the Q&A box here on Zoom. If you're joining us from other streams, LinkedIn or Twitter, do ask your questions on the feed there, and I'll pick up those questions that are relevant and more common and bring it to the speakers. So, and the best question as picked by the speaker today, will get a free digital learning course access. So we're starting with the first speaker for the day today, Shipra Chaturvedi. Good morning and welcome, Shipra. Hope you're doing fine.
Good morning, sir. Yes, doing fine.
Good. So let me give a quick introduction about Shipra. Shipra carries a very strong expertise in investing, banking, and retail banking domains across various functions as a lead business analyst. She loves to understand and identify and leverage technology for betterment of humans, which I think all of us should, pay attention to. Shipra has worked extensively as corporate social responsibility function as well, and she's been a member of Outreach Core Committee. And today she's going to talk about enthralling narratives for D2C brands, right? And direct to consumer is becoming very popular in India, while you have e-commerce companies that are enabling sellers through their platforms. Sellers are also realizing that there is a direct channel that you can reach out to consumers, and there are companies that are building products and platforms to enable them to build a full-fledged commerce websites, including payments and delivery and everything. So the most important takeaways from this session is, number one, the 5 pillars of product storytelling in the context of D2C brands, how to connect the dots and frame the story for the product roadmaps. So excited to hear about your perspective, Shipra, and I'll hand over this to you to continue from here. Right, this is a 30-minute session, and we'll take questions as they come. I'll make a note of it, and towards the end of it, we'll bring it up, followed by another exciting session today. So we'll wrap up today's event in 1 hour, ending at 12 p.m. Over to you, Shipra.
Thanks, Sai, for such a beautiful introduction and about the topic as well. So I'll just share my screen. I am unable to share my screen.
Can you enable the host access, please?
Sorry, I don't have the access.
Yeah, you have it now. Can you just try again?
Okay, yes, I can understand.
Sure.
Okay, hi all. I'm going to tell you something about enthralling narratives for D2C brands. As we know, direct to consumer is becoming popular these days, as Sai also said just now in the introduction. And in the last 10 years, D2C brands have grown a lot. So it was recently in the case studies and the news that whether from 2010 to 2020, is this just something that is going to burst out as a bubble, or are these D2C brands here to stay? So one of the important aspects when I encountered while taking this topic was that product storytelling is very, very important in case we want to grow our brand. Even if we want to grow our personal brand, we have to really tell some inspiring stories about us in the domain we want to grow about as a career. So I think that is storytelling in anything. When we want to develop a personal brand word is itself, we need great stories to we remember our freedom fighters and many people about it because we have great stories about them. So similarly, it stands for the D2C brands. So now let's hear something about parents. All of you who are parents here must have heard of this brand called BabyChakra. And it shows very nicely baby loves chakra, and that's why the round. So these BabyChakra, what do they sell? They sell more of mom and child care kits. They also sell about some great and natural products about the children and about it for the newborn from 1 to 6 year old. And they also sell certain products which are good for the health care of mom as well as the child, of the newborn child, or from 1 to 6 years. So how does it started? It's a very interesting story from here. So Naya Sagi in 2017 launched this BabyChakra, and at the 5-year plan, she said that she want to see BabyChakra as the trusted companion to every young parent. Why did she start this brand? There is a very unique insight about it. She saw her sister, her elder sister, working as a corporate lawyer, highly educated, and just became a mother at the age of around 30, 32. And then they were struggling. Then she was really struggling. Even she, as well as the husband, they were struggling as parents to find the best and reliable. So we have a lot of information on Google from various sources. But when it comes to our own child as a parent, it becomes very, very difficult to trust and to filter out and take the best. So it's really confusing because we have a lot of options these days also. So though we have a lot of things, a lot of sources, thanks to the technology and the growth of the products that is there, but still, I mean, when it comes to our own child, it is very difficult to trust any source just like that. So Naya Sagi, she thought that it's very important for every parent. It's the need of the hour for every parent to give them the trusted things for the newborn, so that they can just come to one platform and get everything for their newborn. Whether it's about the products that are applied to the child, whether it's about the products, whether it's about the doctors, whether it's about the pregnant mothers, whether it's about how to take care of a newborn from 1 to 5 year old, what kind of products are really nice. So they have articles, they have products, and now they have a wide range of products. And through this story, they have grown because every mother, since her sister was a corporate lawyer, as any of us, I mean, working in a corporate, it relates to all of us. So the stories should also connect, should have an emotional connect with all of us. That is very, very important. So in the 5-year plan now, in the recent news of your story article, BabyChakra has forayed into the D2C baby care space, and it looks into 100 crore run rate by the end of 2022. So because of the story that is connecting the mothers with the protecting their childs, or the fathers protecting their childs, it's about the parent connected to a child. So this story has given a birth to BabyChakra, and it's grown in these 5 years to some great extent. And that is why D2C brands needs a great story. So now we'll go to something like, there are some evergreen stories. So I would definitely, you all would remember some stories which your grandparent would have told you. So I hope you all remember the story. Can you write down in the chat, apart from this and even this, like what is it that you actually remember when a grandparent or when you heard the story or any other story that your grandparent have told you? Do you still remember it, and why do you remember it? So I would be waiting for your answers on the chat. Hare and tortoise, yes, definitely. Mouse and lion story. Okay, great. So why do you remember such stories which your grandparents told you? Because we study maths, science, and we grow, and we study a lot of subjects, arts, social sciences, and everything, but we don't remember everything, is it? But we remember the stories that our grandparents told us, even when we were not able to speak much or when we were not able to grasp much. We were just trying to understand what the world is about. So we still remember. So any can you write down some reasons? Take your view. And yes, great. Thanks, Anil, for writing that. Take your view. That's very important to teach a child that people might be saying anything else that you would be saying about. Yeah. So I think that's more important when grandparents tell you some stories. They are telling you with a lot of affection, but they are also taking care that you are learning something from that. Learning something in terms of moral value, in terms of developing your personality, because from 1 year to 5 year or 8 year, the child develops a personality. And when you teach them through stories, it is always ingrained. And grandparents love you like anyone. Like parents will also tell you stories, but grandparents have a different way of telling stories, because they are not judging you. They're just holding you tightly and just telling you the story without anything. So they are applying that emotional intelligence, and that's some ingredient that's long back. So it's not something that we have that is learned right now. This emotional intelligence has been applied through our grandparents as well. And we could believe in the stories because definitely something was going into our brain when our grandparent was telling us, okay, tortoise is slow, but due to the steady space, due to the hard work, due to not giving up, the tortoise won the race. And the hare was just resting, because the hare thought that, okay, I could win the race, so I should just rest for a while. So because of the speed, so it gave us a moral value that we should be slow and steady, but we should believe in ourselves. Everyone has something unique in themselves. So there was a logic in the story which was told in terms of a moral value, and our heart believed it, because they were trying to tell us that you are unique in your different sense. Maybe you're not in terms of success. People have different definitions. Someone is saying that success is only about earning money. Someone might say that success is about having a balance in personal and professional life. So it's very different definition for all terms of people. So we have logic as well as emotions attached to it. So when the emotions are attached to certain logic, like the BabyChakra, we said that there was logic that parent was trying to find out the best, but then emotions has to be attached in the sense that BabyChakra is giving you everything and is trying to make you trust, is trying to make a parent trust that they can trust this app and they can get what they want. So logic and emotions have to go hand in hand for all the product stories. That is called emotional intelligence. Now, whenever we tell a story, there has to be some P's. Now these were called P's. There are actually 4 pillars, and 5th pillar I have introduced as my ingredient to this growth of this art of storytelling. 5th, like the product storytelling. So 5 pillars. First, we'll go through the 4 P's, and then I will tell you why 5th is important. So people and place. There is a lot of like even in BabyChakra, you would have seen there are mothers in India, mothers in US, mothers in UK, or fathers in India, fathers in US, fathers in UK. They all are different individuals and they have different styles. Every parent would have a different style due to different cultures and all. So people and place is very important for identifying how do you want to create that story and how do you want to connect the dots in your products between those people and places. So places, because it's about the positioning, the market positioning. So if you're launching something in a village and if you're launching something in the metro, it has to be differently told to each individual, to the group of individuals that is there. And people. So a lot of cultural unity and diversity is a great example. India is a great example of that. But still, different people, according to different cultures, according to different places, have different needs. So so if we talk in terms of products, then I think in terms of product, the market positioning as well as the people, the customer segment have to be taken together. So we have to connect the dots between the people and the places, and then only go about. These are the first two steps that we have to look into while telling a story of the product. And then it comes about purpose and plot. What is the purpose of that product? Like BabyChakra, Naya Sagi was very clear about the purpose, that every young parent should trust the app. Every newborn, they are not talking about all the children, they are talking about only the newborn and say 3 to 4 years child. So it was very clear. So the context was very clear, the purpose was very clear, that parents have to be given, parents like to give the newborn a very good thing. And in this hustle bustle life, working in the corporates, working in going with the doing the home course as well, it's very difficult to grasp all that information, filter out the best and take it. So they are giving you the filtered information. So the purpose was very clear, to give them easy access and trusted access. So that was the context. And when the context is mixed with the great content, that helps to develop a product into a brand. So whenever, like, 90% of the content is focused on building your brand. So, but only 5% of brands have been able to do that. Why? That's a figure I am telling from one of the articles. Only 5% of the brands have been able to do that from the 90% of the content that they have put it for the marketing purpose. Why? Because that content, as I said, there has to be some emotional intelligence. There has to be people in place to whom you are connecting. So emotional intelligence. So even if you are telling some great content, but there is no logic behind it, and or if you are telling some very logical content but there are no emotions attached to it, then definitely it's difficult to build a product into a brand. You can sell the product, but you cannot build a brand out of it. So that context and content are very important. So these four are very important, because customer segment you are going to first define for your D2C product. Second is about the place where you're going to launch it, the market positioning, the purpose, and the plot, that is the story. So this is how you all connect the dot. You take all these pieces, purpose, plot, people, places, and you connect the dots to frame the story. Like in 2017, Naya Sagi thought that in 5 years, I will do so and so. Now she has connected, and through the product roadmap, now they are going to be 100 crore company. How does this 5-year plan grow? Now, the fifth ingredient which I have introduced is about the passion. Passion and is very, very important for your mission, which you want to achieve from your D2C product. And this helps, and the product storytelling throughout these 5 years, like when we started in 2017, it cannot be the same story repeated till 2022. It has to be different. So suppose there is a girl who want to learn ballet and want to tell the world what is the history of ballet, why ballet is so graceful, why it is important for the Western culture, how it grows. And then she wants to connect with a lot of the mission. So dancing is her passion, but her mission is to connect with a lot of people around the world and tell about ballet, like why it has grown into the Western culture and why it is very important in the history of Western culture dance forms. So that passion has to be there throughout for your products, for anything. I mean, whether in your personal life you want to build a personal brand of yourself, or you want to build your product into a brand. So that passion is very, very important. So the people, place, purpose, and plot can only be combined together with passion, which obviously has a mission towards certain plan. So these are the 5 pillars about the stories. So now this is the secret of the D2C brands. They have a purpose with a passion, and many D2C brands have taken birth due to it. And they also give the customers, they create values for the customers in very innovative ways. So there are 2 more brands which I will tell you about. That is, one is Glossier. Glossier is a makeup brand. And it did not start. The Glossier founder just started writing blogs. And when she started writing blogs, she after 2 years of writing blogs, she had like 1 million viewers and 1 million followers. So after that, they started enjoying whatever she was writing. And then she thought, okay, let me convert this into a product. Let me write more about the makeup. So she took funding. She started up her own company, and she took she didn't took any celebrity for ads. That was a different, unique value because it was innovative. So like now I am a normal woman working in a normal corporate, but then I would like to definitely look smart each day, and I require some of the makeup things, but I would not look into some celebrity like Aishwarya Rai, that I can be, because obviously there is a lot of difference in the personality. Not that what she's using I cannot use, but then there is a lot of difference in the personality, in the grooming, in the background, that every day I might not have that much time, I might not have that much facilities which she is having for the makeup or for looking smart throughout the day, because it's a career, it's a background that she has built upon through these years. So how Glossier built is, they took normal people like us and they connected with all the people, and they only gave the views, the funding, all this, and it is still growing with the common people. So it has still no celebrity attached to it like we see for the makeup, which is obviously a good idea, but then this is something which might connect more people around it. So that is also one important fact. So there is a passion. Okay, I'm sorry, I lost the connection. Okay.
Yeah, we're able to hear you now.
Okay. So I hope you were able to hear till the 5 pillars and purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So now I would like to ask one more question about the product storytelling. Who do you think is the protagonist in the product? Whenever you want to tell a story, whom do you consider as the protagonist of the story while the product is? You can write down on chat your answers. There were very interesting answers earlier. Consumer. Any other view? Now, what do you see in this ad? You can write down in the chat, like, do you think the consumer is the protagonist in this ad? The narrator. Okay. Problem statement. Great. Okay, now I will bring up another image. Maybe then you can compare and see. What is the difference in both of these? Can you highlight one difference? Just one answer, maybe in another 10 seconds. What is the difference? Who is the protagonist in the Galaxy, and who is the protagonist Samsung Galaxy and an iPhone? The product. Great. How to use the product. Okay. Yeah. So I studied this article again from somewhere, and I got to know. See, so there is a big difference in this. Here it is telling about Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G. So maybe I don't know what is 5G, but then at least I'm happy that I'm getting the latest technology. So I will buy that phone without a knowledge, but it is not inspiring. It is just a self-esteem thing, or might be something that I want to buy a new phone. So let's buy this. Another is the solution to your inspirations, to a customer's inspirations. So a child, a 13-year-old child, 14-year-old child is trying to make certain things in the iPhone. Make movies like the movies. So it is like she is aspiring to be a filmmaker. Suppose we are supposing that, and she's trying to create certain things through the phones, and it is helping her to become a filmmaker and create great stories with the features of the phone. So here the protagonist is the user, like one of you said, and the other one, the protagonist, is the product. So obviously, when you inspire the user and when you make the product, that is how a D2C brand grows better. And that is how the stories should be told with the protagonist being a user. Now, there is a story also about the Teflon non-stick tawa. So when we go to a homemaker and say, why do you want to use a non-stick tawa? So definitely because of the dosas, they stick in the sticky tawa and all of that. So when someone comes and tells, now see, you can have this. So the protagonist who she has solved the problem because she has bought that non-stick tawa in her home. So I think the product, so she feels very nice about it, that, you know, I have solved the problem for myself. So the protagonist is again the consumers. So that is obviously the better part of telling a product story. And we have to keep in mind that while we are telling a story about the product, the protagonist has to be the end consumer. So this is how the secret of the DTC products growth is. They use the value chain model with the customer insights. Like I said about the non-sticky tawa, they took some insights. So Teflon entered the market like this, that they took the insight from the homemakers, and then they tried selling it through Amazon or whatever channels they could distribute it to. But they utilized the distribution channel later, and they took customer insights first. So they use the model differently in a backward direction. They take the customer insights. So they resonate because they have solved the problem, and differentiate because they have been able to create the value for customers. Maybe they are in terms of, and there can be three needs. Majorly, there are three needs of the people, that may be functional, economical, or emotional. So emotionally, obviously, every homemaker with that tawa will become happy because she is able to quickly do the dosas without any sticky things, and they are not breaking up. And obviously, it's economic and functionally, performance wise, it is better. And they are able to substantiate. So they are using these MVPs with the right content. They're taking that home wide. Now, if I have someone unknown, some celebrity, if I have a known face like celebrity doing that ad, and if I have a homemaker doing that ad, definitely it will make a difference. Which will I contact? Now, they say there is an X brand of non-stick tawa, and there is Teflon. Teflon is taking a homemaker and making the dosa. There is celebrity for the X brand and making a dosa. Definitely, I mean, how would I trust that? So it is you. So all these DTC products are using these unique lead generations, and they're telling stories in a different way, and they're using that value chain model in a backward direction, taking customer insights and then going to the distribution channels. So that is how the DTC products can grow. Why product storytelling is really important for all the D2C products. Now, as a product manager, we all have the W factor. When I say W factor means what, when, why, who. So these are very important questions for us. Like we already talked about people, place, plot, purpose, what, when, why, who. So there's a holy triangle for a product manager. There's the quality that we have to build for a product, definitely for a D2C product, because then only it can go with the great story. There is limited time, and there is cost factor obviously attached to anything. So this holy triangle has to be really taken care while product storytelling. We have to tell quality stories in a limited time, which like in the hustle bustle life, the person can really, the first 30 seconds should be such that people are listening to you, or people are really willing to watch that story which you are trying to tell or show in a video. So that quality has to be there in the story in a limited time, and the cost obviously is the factor for and when you are reaching the people, like iPhone is something which is exclusive. So definitely when you are reaching that kind of market, then it is a different factor. But when you are reaching someone like a homemaker in Teflon, or like you are reaching someone for selling any product, selling any daily use product, then definitely cost is a factor and time is a factor. So if I have to choose from 100 options, and there is one of the D2C brands that you are trying to sell, there is one product that you are trying to sell, that should have a great quality within a limited time, and that story should be told. And for that, you also have to take all the internal and external stakeholders. And internal stakeholders are your designers, business, technology, etc. Now, there's something more interesting after the COVID in the D2C brands. These are some simple facts that why product storytelling, why I took this topic, why D2C brands should have great product storytelling. Because prior to COVID, it was just a growing up opportunity for all the traditional brick and mortar retailers to move online. But due to COVID situation, there was a change in buying situation, because people wanted to avoid the crowded places. They cannot go to the retailers, and mostly retailers did not have maybe the same things because of the broken supply chains and other challenges. And so in COVID situations, what we were all doing, we were ordering online big basket. We were waiting, even if it was not available on big basket, grofers and so on, we were at least sitting and waiting for our slots to come in. So at least we had that convenient of ordering and sitting at home. And growing category for what one can buy online now. So after COVID, this has grown a lot. Even one can buy the plants online. We don't need to go to a nursery. There are plants available on Ferns and Petals on Amazon. So there, and people are also, these D2C brands are also selling complementary products with them. So like a coffee, then a coffee mug will be sold to you. So there are different things that they are growing with. So that is how the COVID impact has changed the situation. And the market opportunity for the D2C brand in 2025, according to a source, is about $100 billion. So that is the total addressable market till 2025 in India for the D2C brands. So now I would like to just summarize and say about like whatever factors we have discussed about the how to tell a story like a grandparent, to connect the emotions with the logic, and then focus on the 4 pillars: people, place, purpose, plot, and drive it continuously with passion towards your mission. So all these things are really important for any product, but particularly for D2C brands, like we talked about the BabyChakra, Naya Saga in 2017, and now 2022, 100 crore company by the end of 2022. That makes a difference. But all this, how all this is connected is, we just need to take these 5 steps. We need to keep it very simple as a product manager. Create stories, create products. Create great stories, create great products. Keep it simple in the sense, set up content marketing strategy. Like we said, 5% brands have been developed because of the 90% of the marketing content is focused on developing the brand, but still 5% of the D2C brands have been able to achieve that. So we have to really set up that with a great, with a lot of, so we have to set up the content marketing strategy. We don't have to borrow the product even if we are say BabyChakra, there can be something else tomorrow which is coming up. We have to keep it simple. I remember one of the Facebook ads coming up in there was a lady giving job to people. COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs, the blue collar jobs, and there was a lady who did not have money, but still she gave job to people because she just had a shop and she tried to help them in all the ways. So we have to speak customers' language. We can keep it very simple, and we have to engage the teammates in the sense, the internal people, all the designers, the technology people, the business people, all have to be driven to a common goal. That is definitely a product leadership quality, and a product leader has to do that. A product manager, you have to come with that. So these all steps are very simple, but in daily life, how do we follow it is by connecting the dots to the 4 pillars, continuing with the passion, and yourself, as well as creating. And thanks for listening everything. I would like to have any questions here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at both LinkedIn and see if there are questions. Thank you, Shipra. I think you started off with the 5 P's. People, place, purpose, plot. But as you said, the important thing is connect that with passion. I also liked your content versus context. Content may be great, but if you're not using the right context, placing that in the right context, the impact may be low. Also summarizing the value chain model so simply with simple examples, right? I think resonate, differentiate, and substantiate. And all along peppered with easily relatable examples. I think that's what is important. While we have complex frameworks, if you're not able to relate that with simple examples, that is not very useful. Well, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate your time and sharing your knowledge and wisdom here. And as a token of appreciation, please accept the certificate, and you will receive this certificate in your inbox, which is immutable and automatically verifiable on blockchain, thanks to Hyperstack Credential Cloud Platform.
Yes.
And, have a good rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sai, and thanks all for your time. Thanks. It was a lovely Saturday morning starting with all of you. Thank you so much.
I know. Great. So let's move on to the next interesting topic with another speaker today. Sandeep, are you here? Can we turn on your audio and video?
Yes,
Great.
yes, Sai. Yeah.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
So we have folks continuing from the previous session. So I will skip most of the context and introduction and directly jump into introducing you. So Sandeep is currently a senior product manager for customer service at Pegasystems. Pegasystems is a company that makes some really good CRM systems, by the way. And he spent the last 18 years in successful assignments, working for both internal customers as well as products for external facing customers, and also led product development teams, very collaborative, communicative team member. I think Sandeep's personal or professional backlog is continuously growing, as he likes to say. And that backlog seems to include predominantly around continuing to learn, mentor, and grow. I hope you are prioritizing that backlog, Sandeep, and implementing that as you go in this journey. Welcome, and over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Sai, for that introduction. Yes, absolutely. It is essential that I keep prioritizing the backlog, adding to the backlog as well, to a large extent as well. And so and I was just realizing that I am going to be the last speaker, not just for today, but also for this edition of this Product Leadership Festival. So I have the absolute power, I mean, if I can use the word, of leaving the lasting impression for audience of this event. I don't know which way it turns out, but
with great power comes great responsibility too.
Absolutely, yeah, I understand, and that's why I hope I stand to the expectations, not just of the IPL, but also for the audience that we have for the IPL events. So every great product has a great story. We have heard so many stories over and over again at different conferences, different sessions during this festival as well. I'd like to revisit this statement at the end of this session once again with a slightly altered thing as well. Storytelling, we've all heard, is a key soft skill for a product manager, to be able to weave a story about what the product can do. However, this is perceived to be useful externally for outbound activities like marketing and sales, or to get additional investments from stakeholders. Today's session, what I would like to drive the point is how a product manager like me uses this skill internally to drive product development by bringing together the development team across different chapters, across different groups and everywhere. I want to let's just put a disclaimer here. Like some of you may find this to be basics of Agile and Scrum. Some part of it is yet. But I hope to share how I use the medium of stories internally for product development. I have an 8-year-old son. Every night I tell story to my son and make him sleep. So that is where the storytelling comes like inherently as such, or either I am improving my storytelling abilities as well. The stories, of course, I pick are from the great epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, or the historical characters like Chanakya, Ashoka, Akbar, even biographies of some of the scientists, prime ministers, and even movies as well. Now, why I tell him all these stories, what do I get out of it? What do I want to accomplish with these things? My first accomplishment is when he sleeps by the time I end up the story. That's my accomplishment. But my next goal is to make him recite the same stories in front of others. Further on, if he uses some of the words and phrases, the grammar, the expressions, or even able to relate to the experiences that he is having in his day-to-day affairs, with his school, with friends, everywhere, I think I'm successful with that. Have I been successful? Yes, to some extent, yes. He can of course relate to the stories with what happenings around him, and he's able to use some of the phrases as well. So telling stories is part of human, and we have also seen this in the previous session that Shipra did. Stories have long time helped build strong relationships and draw attention of audience. And also Shipra mentioned about the emotional aspects as well. So all this is fine, but can stories influence product developers, and thereby can they influence the products they produce? Anybody wants to answer yes or no?
Could you repeat that again, Sandeep, for everyone?
Anybody wants to like answer the question? Can stories influence products, product developers, and thereby how the products get produced? Not what products, I'm saying how the products get produced. Well, Anil says yes, and Haripriya says, yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. As an inbound product manager, the closest thing that I can relate to storytelling is user stories. All of you have heard of user stories, but what is a user story? There are many definitions. If you just start Googling around now, I mean, a user story is a small piece of work that is supposed to focus on end benefit, means to describe the purpose of a feature, as an informal, natural language description. That's from Wikipedia, by the way. Smallest unit of work. All of them are correct. But how do I define it? A user story is a simple written explanation of the work an end user does to accomplish a desired outcome in a limited period of time. Now, it tells us the journey of the user, of the customer, for whom we are actually building the product. I come from a software industry, so like for whom I develop a software. Notice the underline of simple there. Now, what I mean by simple is easy to understand, a few sentences or a simple language. This is the key essence of a user story. And I'll come to the other parts of the user story, like a little later. But I think the word what I want to highlight here is simple. So how do I test simplicity as such before I take up stories and before I tell stories to the team, to the development team as a product manager? Any guesses? No prizes, of course. Through my bedtime stories to my son, I do sometimes tell or read the user stories that I have written to my son. If he can understand it, so can my product developers. Only if a developer understands, he or she, of course, will be able to act upon it or do whatever is required and deliver what is needed as a product. But the world is not so simple. Customer journeys are increasingly complex and huge. Today we are connected across multiple channels. We all the time do multitasking every time. Some of us even claim to be like masters of multitasking. Like how many of us have not done this? Run cricket, live cricket on one screen, listen to the songs on my headphones, and chat with friends on one screen, and then keep coding all the time as such, all the time while doing everything together. Today we are connected, of course, on multiple channels, multiple distractions as well. Why is it important for me here for this session as such is when I develop a product, let's say, for example, a shopping cart, an online shopping cart. I have to consider what are the channels that the user actually would use. And why is it important? Because I need to figure out, I need to build the software or build the product which is applicable across multiple channels. Not only this, the other complexity that comes into place is the different stages or the different requirements of a product development. Let's say same shopping cart example, let's say the UX design, for example, the database setup, the architecture, the class structure, what technology to use, all this comes into picture. Can we accommodate all of these into one single user story? That's the question. That's the key part. Well, indeed, that's precisely why we need to organize the work that we, have to get done and make the product build. What I do, and I'm sure most of my fellow product owners on this session also do, is to organize the work in a backlog. The conversation I have been the following as such is that there are different ways to organize work. One thing that I follow is a goal, an epic, or a user story. The name sounds epic, like epic is like the great epics. A collection of user stories is an epic, and a collection of epic becomes a goal. For me, of course, the storytelling starts primarily at the level of an epic, and then further continued down or broken down into user stories. The entire journey of customer can be broken down, needs to be broken down into smaller chunks of work, and the smallest thing that we could do is something that the development team can pick up one by one during their development. Why is it important to organize as such? It is important for developers to understand the stories at each level so that they can identify the dependencies that they existing, the needs. What are the needs? Okay, I need to get the database set up before I start doing this thing. Okay, I need to get this UX design done before I start building out this. So these dependencies exist, and the developers, only when they understand it, they can establish the connections, and they can also chalk out a plan on how do we accomplish the entire thing. No one can tell you a story. This is a quote that I read across while, of course, preparing for this session today. No one can tell you a story, so tell it yourself. No one can write your story, so write it yourself. I found it apt because, as product manager, it is my responsibility to be able to convey what is to be done and like get it done as well. And that's the reason why I put this quote here. Now let's come to the three key components of user story. I call them the 3 C's. The first one is card. Now, okay, of course, nowadays it's all digital and online, so we have so many tools available. So the card may not be sounding correct, but still the terminology is still called as the user story card. The user story card is a simple description, one-liner, or maybe a maximum of 2 lines as such, describing who, what, and why. Who is the user, what does the user want, or what does the user do, and why the user doing it, what is the purpose. It is essential to convey this thing as a user story. Of course, we are calling it as user story, so it's all about user. So why he wants it, the context is required, and that is the reason why the who, what, and why makes a key element of the user story. So most often I keep hearing, okay, like the user story has to be following a certain pattern. If you write a user story like, as a user, I want action, and so that whatever purpose, then it is done. Actually, it is not done. What is important is the conversation. As a product manager, I need to open it up for conversation within the team, in terms of how they can do this? What are the options to achieve this? What is the best option? How do I know what is the best option? The team would comprise of different people with different skill sets, different abilities, and different experiences as well. So there has to be a sharing of information as well. There is to be identification of what is the dependencies, and if necessary, have a plan to address those dependencies before they take up the user story for building. So knowing who is going to use, knowing the context helps this conversation, helps drive this conversation within the team, and that is also a key element of a user story. The other and the most important thing is the confirmation, the other C, that's the third C. The confirmation is nothing but the acceptance criteria. When do we call the user story as done? That's the confirmation. What is the measure of success for this user story? So these are the three key elements for a user story. Let me now talk about the key element or the key, the reason why we are here, why I'm doing this session. What is the benefit? What's in it for the software development or a product development team to be generic enough? Now, first thing is the focus. Everybody in the team starts aligning to the user story or the epic, which is currently in development. It may, in a real time scenario, like what I have seen is it's mostly like 1 or 2 epics, not more than that. I prefer it to be 1, but it's because of the dependencies, because of the team capacity, it may happen to be a 2 epics, but not more than that. The reason is, when I started out, there used to be a time when I used to work on multiple different things. Team used to work on multiple different things. When somebody asks, what are you working on right now? It used to be very difficult to answer or pick one item of that. Now, with the concept of agile, scrum, and the user story thing, it is probably essential. It is the team can be focused on one thing instead of doing multitasking. The second thing is enablement. As a product manager, as a senior person, as such in the ladder in the organization, I sometimes feel it's my responsibility, or as such, to enable people on different things, be it on how to, what are the office things, about the office things, or about the technology, or generally about the domain, and about the industry, everything. So it is the user stories help in enabling people. It is because it is easy to explain, easy to understand. The developers would find it easy to understand and be able to convey the same thing when they go out of the workplaces, when they talk with somebody else as well. Collaboration. As I said earlier, we need to, there is a lot of dependency. There could be a lot of dependencies. So there needs to be a collaboration between the team or within the team as well. So how do people work together? So that is kind of improvement. We see a lot of improvement with this collaboration. The other thing is, when I talked about the conversation aspect of the user story, right? One of the things that I have seen is that people come up with different solutions, and it's actually good, because of the fact that there are people with different expertise levels and different experiences as such. So some of them are creative as well. So it also brings up a lot of inherent creativity aspects of those people. Now, how has this helped? One example I could quote is that the team that I work with right now has, consistently given a lot of innovative ideas to the product as such. Now, since the team is not hopping between multiple tasks, things get done faster as well. So these are the the key benefits that I would say, and this the key reasons why the storytelling or the user stories has to be driven, has to be conveyed, has to be used as a medium by a product manager with the inbound with the internal product teams as such. One other thing which I can probably mention, which is not there on the slide here, is a longer memory. I mean, I found it like I personally remember like a lot of things which I have done probably when I started out in my career, and the same thing I find it within my team members as well. It is the longer they remember the things longer. Like if because they remember, okay, when this was done, why it was done, for what purpose it was done. So all those things, I think the user stories or this structure, the structure of the user story helps in conveying. A well-written and a well-told story connects users' pain points. We have heard this over and over again. Now, in our case, in my case, it's not only connects users' pain points, but also the connecting the pain points of the user with the creative solutions that the development team has, and thereby leading to a better product. I started this session, of course, with a statement, that every product has a great story. To conclude, what I hope, I hope I have been able to convey that storytelling in product development is essential to make each product convey an incredible story. Of course, every product has a great story, but how does that story come into picture? Because storytelling in the product development helps the product convey the great story. So that's my story. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sandeep. I think this is a very interesting and different take on the theme of the festival. And I really liked it because for two reasons. One, most of the product managers, especially in India, or inbound product managers, are working with various stakeholders in the company. And there is a strong need to influence people, not just with data, information, and all of those things, but also narratives, right? And you've looked at it from that perspective because that's what your sphere of influence is right now, right? And
Correct.
And many people in the community too. That's great. The second reason why I thought this was very interesting is there is already a placeholder for stories in the product development context, right? Which is your
Correct.
user stories. So now, how do you use that context to tell a broader, narrative, not just about why this particular feature is useful for the beneficiary or the user, but as you said, enable them, give them more information about the market, about how it is evolving. I think to a lot of us here, that should be one important takeaway, right? Don't just trivialize
Correct.
the user story context just by writing 2 lines of card that says for a user, who needs this, and this is a feature, but use that as a basis for providing a lot more deeper context, right? So that's the reason why I thought this is particularly interesting, and thank you for bringing those unique perspectives, as a product manager yourself, right? And again, thank you for your time and sharing your perspectives on how to use storytelling abilities in the context of product development. Please accept a certificate of appreciation from the Institute of Product Leadership. Feel free to share this across your network. It's automatically verifiable on the blockchain. And thanks to the partners for the event and Hyperstack for making that available to all of us, right? So again, for those of you who joined, thank you. And do go ahead, write what you think should improve as part of this conference and what you liked about it, so that the team behind this was put incredible amount of effort in the last few weeks to know and improve this for future events, right? And all of you have the option to go ahead and join the Product Leaders Forum community for free. go to the following URL and sign up. And again, this brings us to the end of this first edition for this year of Product Leadership Festival. Hopefully, very soon, we'll all meet either virtually or in person for the next edition. And until then, take care and have a wonderful professional career. Thank you and bye.
Thank you.